Hello and welcome, dear human family, to another video update here on my channel. And thank you for tuning in, for giving me another chance to make up for the incredible mistake that I made in actually sharing with you what true awakening really looks like. I'm really sorry for the mistake that I made in being vulnerable, showing my emotions of despair, of frustration, and of showing you the learned helplessness that is deeply within the collective unconscious of our entire human family. And I chose to share that with you. That vulnerability, that is one of our biggest strengths that we have. And although I didn't want to upload that video because I felt stupid, and in my own internal mind theater that was going on about not being good enough, the Wetiko spell being played out inside of my mind, I decided, you know what? I don't care. I don't care anymore. Sometimes you reach a point in your life where you really don't know how to move forward anymore. However, sharing that with you, and maybe it has also helped a few people outside to either learn something of that. Sharing vulnerability is very important and very healing. It was definitely for me. And also that being a true leader also means to be authentic and to share authentically how you feel. And I can't hide the fact that I have been feeling very bad the last few weeks. It's everything that goes up must go down. Well, it's been going down rapidly. And that is all good, as I will be speaking about. So I've got a few slides together for you. As you know how I like to work, I like to talk, engage your left side of the brain as well as the right side of the brain to have some pictures. So let's delve into it. Got a nice few pictures here for you. And here you see a representation of the warrior archetype. So that's what I shared with you in the last video, in which I had what can be called a meltdown. And people will have asked, what's going on with Steve? And yeah, I'm asking the same question. What is going on? However, I was just being honest. The honest warrior who doesn't hide anymore. And we all do our best to the best of our own light of consciousness that we embody at any given moment. I think most of us are really giving our best shot at awakening to our true power, to our true self, and to also have that empowered true self, full of love, full of respect, honor, and dignity, integrity, and authenticity, to also have that internal state reflected outside of us in the world that we experience. This is what I would like to see and what I want and how I understand how the world works through the intrinsic connection of our interior world, of our thoughts and feelings that we have inside of our being, and the external world, the macrocosm and the microcosm. And the honest warrior I portrayed in the last video, because this was my breaking point. And as you know from watching the videos here, breakdown is breakthrough, and it has massively helped me along my journey. So the honest warrior dives into the underworld. Where are the demons that have been haunting me? Who are you? And confronting those demons and see what they are trying to teach you as the greater being. Yourself. What is the teaching lesson of these demonic energies haunting me, torturing me, telling me I'm not good enough, telling me I can't make a difference, telling me I'm worth nothing? What are you really trying to tell me? So come to the table here. And for that to happen, the honest warrior has to delve deep into the underworld and confront those demons. And that's what I did. This quote that you see here absolutely freaked me out the first time I saw it. And I still saved it nonetheless, because this is a hardcore truth, a principle. If you are deep in the shit, as one can say, here's a way to find the light at the end of the tunnel. That which you need most will be where you least want to look. And I'll say it again because it's so important. That which you need most will be where you least want to look. And that's so true. And I did that at the beginning of this last week. And having read through the comments of the last video, someone said, I can't remember anymore who said it, sorry for that, it would be important to have Errol and Ahmed on for a discussion about what has happened with the Gnostic takeover. And immediately I knew that's a really, really good idea. However, this quote is really not easy to put into your life. However, when you've suffered to a point where you don't want to suffer like that any longer, you go even deeper into honesty and you realize, I have to make peace. I need to take full responsibility for this problem that exists. And I don't want to be at war with anyone. I never wanted to be at war with anyone. However, I realized I need to sort out my relationships that I have. And so I wrote to Errol and I wrote to Ahmed. I've even had a phone conversation with Errol, which went pretty good. Really good. And it was wonderful to hear my brother's voice again. So it's good to make peace, and I made mistakes. I deceived myself to the best of my ability. I was trying to be as honest as I can be in what I was experiencing. However, the principles of the natural order, those principles that are embedded in the fabric of our existence in this living lucid dream reality, gives you the consequences of your behavior 100%. And it always means good for you, even if it may not seem so. And I broke off from the group that we had, okay? And I mention here the Gnostic Takeover crew of Errol, me, and Ahmed. I broke away from that. You know why? Because I needed time for myself. I needed to come clean with myself. And I do not decide the learning lessons of anyone else, only with me. And I needed to look deeply inside of me what was not in alignment. My behavior that was not in alignment with truth, love, and freedom, authenticity, integrity, and empowerment. And I'm getting answers. Now that I'm nearly 6 weeks without drinking alcohol, I'm getting clearer. And I'm showing the one and only source. I'm showing my greater being. This interface called Steve, my interface being my ego, is showing my greater being, come along, show me the path. And I let it happen by just letting go of wanting to be right on anything. I'm here to learn. Lesson number 1 is that we're always learning along this journey. And awakening is a learning process. And we need to be absolutely honest with ourselves. And that, to see how we might be falling into our own conditioned behavior and how we are portraying behaviors that are not for the greater good of ourselves or for other sentient beings, is through the reactions and the dynamics within the relationships that we have around us. So if we have interpersonal tensions and conflicts, it absolutely has to do with us. It's our problem, and we co-created that problem together with all the other people. It doesn't mean that the entire problem is on us. It's also with other people who also can learn their learning lesson. However, we are only subscribed here to learn our learning lesson. And my learning lesson in all of this past week was go there where it's not easy to go. And that has only happened due to my meltdown that I had online. I knew when I share my feelings of despair, of frustration, and sadness, if I share that vulnerability openly, then a door opens. The light at the end of the tunnel shines and it says, come here. And I followed that intuition. What I'm deeply immersed in is shadow work right now. This is the most important work we can do on ourselves, and it is continuously. Before I got to know the work of Bernard Günther, I wasn't aware that the shadow work is continuous. So I've been going through hard times throughout my life. I've shared this before with you. I have had many episodes of depression and suffering because of not fitting into society, which probably most listening here to my words now can resonate with. And internal shadow work is continuous, and through that work our own suppressed, repressed aspects of ourself, the so-called shadow, which are parts of ourselves, of our personality, of our psychology that we'd rather not want to see, that we'd rather not want to be asked about or confronted with, that which triggers us. And it goes very deep. It goes very deep, as I shared also with you in the last video. The crying child, and it happened during childhood. It's all about healing our trauma and feeling the repressed emotions, feeling them and letting them go, realizing that we are not those emotions, that we can choose not to interpret these emotions and not become identified with them and make our identity based on them. So if we really want to have a strong foundation, to be a shining light in our community, to be the alchemical flame for other people, to create the new world, then no one of us gets away without doing deep internal shadow work, about which I wish to talk more about, as it's a massive part also of the book I'm reading right now. And in lots of previous videos I like to point out that in my work I always like to focus on the most hidden of knowledge. It's my sort of thread throughout my life that I want to know the highest echelons of knowledge within the secret society networks. Meaning I wish to know how it is possible for a tiny group of psychopaths to dominate world affairs and being able to manipulate world events from the background whilst keeping most of the public, although there is a great awakening happening in the world right now, to keep most of the public ignorant of their presence and especially of their modus operandi. How a tiny group of quote unquote people that are possessed by a hyperdimensional force, how do they do it? So this is my key focus point. This is what I will always be looking at. What is the most hidden knowledge? The highest level of knowledge, because it's all been compartmentalized, and once you activate your decoding systems from your natural intelligence that we are all endowed with as human beings by our creator or Mother Earth or the source of all things, we need to use that. And it's not only about the intellectual component of that, knowing about, for example, the notice of liability and notice writing, how powerful it is to write notices to people in so-called power, and how I, for example, have also recently had major success in the fines being reduced and also stopped. It's stopped that I've been getting fines because I've been writing out notices. This hidden knowledge about liability, about responsibility, about taking responsibility for our own lives and crystallizing what is the most important to know of how we get out of the conundrum that we're in right now in the world, with the world crisis that still rages on. It is equally important to let that knowledge settle in. To not only understand this knowledge intellectually, but also to embody this knowledge emotionally, to integrate it into our being. And there we are back with the shadow work. To dive in to the deep waters of feelings and emotions. The intellectual understanding of the highest level of knowledge being more the masculine oriented way. However, the more feminine emotional way balances out the intellectual, the emotional balancing the intellectual, and we need both for the balance of the two. So that's why, after having the last year, okay, my work has been raised to a new level. I've had interviews with Gareth Icke, with George Kavasilis, and working together with Errol has raised my work to a whole new level, for which I'm amazingly grateful, because before that I was a nobody, just sitting at home and studying all of this knowledge. However, then, having raised my level of work, it was now time to integrate that level of knowledge. And to be quite honest, I'm not surprised that I had to go through the level of pain that I had to go through the last few weeks, when you take the big picture of what I'm sharing with you here as my process, giving a notice of liability to the President of Austria, Alexander van der Bellen, and for everything that goes up, it must come down also. And to fully integrate also into my being, and then coming through the shadow and going through the light of facing trapped energies and traumas within my being, a new start can begin to emerge. So this is also a slide that I wanted to put in here for you to contemplate, as I love using pictures for the work that I do. So we can see a tree here and the root system of the tree. And it's important to emphasize that the matrix is what, when we talk about awakening and awakening to our true power, awakening to our true self, that we do not become too distracted with the world stage of drama that's playing out outside, which is represented by the physical matrix up here. Okay, we can add the COVIDian cult in there obviously also, as well as whatever, and where we've got government, corporations, banks, military, academia, secret society, shadow government, mind control, geoengineering, artificial intelligence, secret space program, religion, culture, education, media, medicine. We realize that this is one level of the control structure. The physical matrix, how it manifests in our world, or what is also termed the 3D matrix, that which we can observe. However, it's a hyperdimensional control system, a hyperdimensional mind prison. For the matrix is not only seen in the outside world through the banking system that dictates policy on the political level, who get their orders from the roundtable groups of Bilderberg Group and Council on Foreign Relations, and from the deeper secret society network. Those external groups that we can observe and that we can study and research connect on a mind level to our being. Okay, that's why I'd like to pick out the two aspects mentioned here in the physical matrix, which is the shadow government and mind control. Through mind control, that power structure has access to us as an individual being. And isn't it interesting also, here we have the link of the micro and the macrocosm with the shadow government and the shadow work, the shadow inside of ourselves as parts of our personality that we do not like to talk or about or show to others. Our own shadow is also represented as shadow government. That is the permanent government, as David Icke likes to call it, that is controlling the government that is shown on the world stage of drama to drive policy. but it comes from a very different background, where we delve deeper into this hyperdimensional structure, of which I want to speak about more in the coming videos, which is the hyperdimensional matrix, where we've got occult, hidden forces, the archons, so-called aliens, demonic lower astral entities, or what I've also put forward to you, the book I'm reading right now, the Wetiko. So when I'm talking about mind control and this shadow government that is controlled by occult hidden forces like the archons, the way they access our own mind is through mind control or through the Wetiko mind virus, which gets healed by healing our own shadow. Hence the importance of doing shadow work. I have also been talking about the spiral nature of our awakening before. However, new insight has come to me about this spiral nature. So as I have said already, and it's important always to point out that the awakening process, the process where we wake up from a dream world, we wake up more and more to the real dynamics of the world we live in, how it actually functions, and how by changing our own mind, by getting away from this hyperdimensional mind prison, by escaping the prison and healing our psychological woundings and traumas that come from our childhood. These are the core issues we need to speak about when we talk about awakening from the dream. And it is of a spiral nature. It's not linear, it's spiral, and it spirals up and spirals down. The so-called ascent and descent process. So an interesting information that has come to me that is very healing for me to recognize and integrate into my being is that when we absorb high vibrational frequency and energy, when we're vibrating on a high vibration, this takes time to go through our entire being. So, as we also know that different organs in the body have different frequencies to which they resonate to, okay? So it is also that when we absorb the light, okay, what a lot of people are talking about is that the vibration of the world is going into a higher vibration. The vibration is getting higher and higher the more this cycle continues. However, when we absorb these high vibrational energies, those energies need to go through the entirety of our being, so that all parts of our being become involved in this process of transformation. And like can be compared to the chakra points that we have in the body. There's low vibrational chakras, or of a lower nature, underneath the heart chakra, and above the heart chakra we have higher vibrational energy points. And when we absorb this high vibrational energy, it also has to go into the denser lower vibrational energy points within our being to transform that part of ourselves also. And the transformation of these lower vibrational energy points can be described as the process of descent, whereas ascent is more of a high vibrational nature. And this is fundamentally important in understanding how the awakening operates, is that our greater being, our true self that exists outside of space and time, our soul, it does this process automatically to let go of all the energies that do not serve us anymore. It does. Our greater being, our high vibrational soul expression, does this process of awakening automatically. That's where the importance of trust really kicks in with us. So it's really important to realize that we exist in this world together with our light and our shadow side, and we need to own both of these, and that we, even when things become difficult at times, that we anchor that trust and trust the process instead of trust the plan. We need to trust the process of awakening and not stay stuck in what is a natural process. Okay, so I say it again. All parts of our being need to be transformed according to the higher vibrations, to the higher frequencies that we are absorbing. All parts within ourselves need to be transformed, and that includes the lower vibrational elements within ourselves, which can also be described as the shadow aspects of ourselves. And when those are transformed, it's descent. It's the descent process. We need to just let it happen when we absorb these high vibrational energies, that our shadows will come up to the surface, and instead of staying stuck with them and identifying ourselves with the emotions of frustration, anger and fear that are coming up, just feel them and see them as a blessing and as a sign that the process of awakening is activated within us and is healing us, to see this in a different light. And the less the mind interferes, the better with this process. That's where we're back with the hyperdimensional mind prison that wants to keep us trapped in this matrix that makes us secrete low vibrational fear-based energies that are sustenance for occult hostile forces that keep that want to keep us trapped in the matrix. So the less the mind interferes, the better. So what do I mean by this? Is that we start to discipline ourselves, that when we go through challenges and challenging times, that we have everything within us to deal with that challenge. And to always remember, and that's why I'm talking about this in this video, to anchor that knowledge also inside of me, we just need to trust. Stay with this process. Discipline yourself to stay with it. So the mind doesn't, as our shadows come up, because all parts of ourself need to be transformed to move into the higher vibration of new earth. Trust and let that process flow, and not let the mind kicking and interpreting this and it's because of what happened in my childhood and I'm still hurt by what has happened, and I'm hurt by who done this and that in my relationship, and she's hurt me and they've hurt me. They were all doing this from their best intentions. And the dynamic at play, and not always from their best intentions, but the dynamic at play, what I mean here is that we realize that we need to get out of the victim mode and become responsible. Realize that it's all about healing the shadow and owning all of our shadow aspects. And that includes coming out of victim mode and letting go of the mind trying to attach to situations. And it may often seem along this awakening journey and along this spiral of awakening, so up the ascension and down the descent, ascent up, descent down, it may seem, and it has seemed with me, like we're going round in circles. It's always the same problems that we face. It's always, and it seems to be always, the same traumas that keep resurfacing. And then what we hear often, or what I've heard often, is, but I've already worked so much on myself. Why is this coming up again? Why do I have to keep looking at the same issues over and over again, year after year? Why is this happening? Because it's the same battle on a higher plane. You have been here before, however, by encountering the same trauma, the same limiting belief, again, shows you that you're on a higher plane now, encountering it again. And the higher up we go along the planes of awakening, along the planes of the spiral toward our true self, the higher we go up, the denser the shadow becomes. However, will the denseness of the shadow is also represented on the other side by the luminescence of the light within us. So at any point we have everything to deal with, the same old challenge that we have to face from our childhood wounding. And the intensity gets higher the higher we go up. The planes and back to our true self. And this is the little bit that I wanted to share with you about the awakening journey. And it's also said in the Hermetic tradition that there's nothing new under the sun. Light and dark, shadow and light, these are the real topics, the real deep, the really deep knowledge of humanity, that which really has been encountering humanity for time immemorial. These are ancient, timeless and everlasting principles of the natural order, and we would be doing well to be aware as much as possible of the dynamics at play here. And I just wanted to share with you what I myself am learning right now, and trying to also explain to you the dynamics at play here, for hopefully this also serves as a learning lesson for you to integrate. And to every yin there's a yang. This ancient symbol that I keep using also for a reason, because we need to own it all, our light and our shadow, in order to return to an integrated state, to be whole, to be a whole being. Wouldn't that be lovely? However, probably once we are whole, we look back at the times where we were struggling and we're like, actually it wasn't too bad. Actually, it was good to go through that challenge. Now that I'm whole, I see the relevance of it, and I see how humble I perceive, how humbling I perceive these learning lessons from these ancient principles of the natural order that humble me. And in that state where we are this whole, this enlightened being, we're thankful for everything we've gone through. The good, the bad and the ugly. Bring it on. No matter what, I'm gonna get there. I'm gonna get there, and I'm gonna try my best, and this lifetime is the life where we make it happen. It's not been done throughout history. They tell us that the world is freed and that we are free from this hyperdimensional mind prison that looks so inescapable, but we're getting somewhere. We're finding out how we can end the insanity that has been normalized in the world. And that's what it's really all about. To get out of what is a multi-dimensional mind prison, which can sound overwhelming. Oh, if it's more than just the Bilderberg group that are organizing it. Oh, I can't find the answers to get out of the matrix prison. No. Becomes easier. It's a hyperdimensional mind prison that wants to keep us trapped in a victim mentality where we have to go through the same battle over and over again, and I'm tired. We're tired of it. Not again. but it's on a higher plane. Just keep going and enjoy the process. Enjoy also the freak show that is happening out there. And realize that we really need to wake up from this dream. I'm not awake from this dream. However, maybe I'm not far from it. Maybe I'm very far from it. Who knows? However, being the honest warrior that I am, that I know I am, I know I will wake up from this dream. And I will see it very different from the other side. Humbling, I will view at it. And just marvel at the beauty of creation, of how incredibly beautiful and beautifully it creates a whole world around us with all these different actors and players and energies and feelings and events and people and activities, where all this outside world is one and the same with my inside world, where my shadow government of the ego is mirror reflected back to me as the shadow government of the Covidian cult. Life is nothing but a dream. And maybe very soon we're gonna wake up fully, or our awakening accelerates even to an even deeper point of perspective, where we see more clearly how our entire life, there's always been a thread through our life that has been pushing us into the same direction, always. And finally we know what we are here to do. And this can come today, as you're watching this video. It can come at any moment, tomorrow, next week, whenever. But that it will happen is absolutely assured. So I want to thank you for listening again here. Grateful to share with you my journey, as always. And also I want to give a massive thanks to all of the people who have supported my work throughout and who have been so kind to comment also on the last video. I've really gone through difficult times now. It's been very challenging, and it just shows, and it really showed me, and it's great to see how there's a lot of human spirit still out in this world, and it definitely is with all of the people here, and thank you so much for that. It means everything to me. And also because I'm still actually in the beginning phase of really putting my work forward. I have had troubles also with my income, and thank you to everyone who is supporting my work that I sometimes feel is for nothing. It's like, why am I even doing this? But I'm doing this for myself, for my own healing, and have everyone else participate in it. I just want to thank and say that it's a huge blessing that all the people that sign up for the Sovereign's Way have given me quite a boost financially, and I'm so grateful for that. I hope everyone gains a lot of knowledge and a lot of insights from that excellent course that is still helping me right now, which has helped me to get rid of the fines that have been plaguing me, being unconsciously afraid that they actually locked me up for this. And what is the best solution for fear? It's knowledge. It has shown again. And I just wanted to say thank you for everyone who signed up there, and with that I can invest now in a new microphone and possibly also a new camera to get this operation moving again, and to let new ideas in. So thank you for all of that. Thank you for you as the human family, and feels good being back doing the videos and connecting with all of you. So out into the whole world, whoever is watching this, much love to you. We're one humanity, we stick together, and we're definitely doing this. Alright, have a lovely day, take very good care, till next time, bye.